Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we have entered day 180 of the ongoing Russia-Ukrainian war, and we're going to start off today looking at what is happening in the southwest area of operations. We continue to see very, very heavy fighting, mainly the trading of heavy artillery back and forth taking place. Specifically, we have seen some fairly intensive strikes by Russian forces taking place near Nikopol. And over the last 24 hours, we saw approximately 5 caliber cruise missile strikes hitting targets in the port city of Odessa. The Ukrainians claim to have shot down a few of these systems that were attacking an alleged ammunition depot inside of Odessa. And the Russian reports are reporting that a successful strike took place in which HIMARS munitions were destroyed at that site. We continue to see very, very heavy fighting taking place as well within the vicinity of Bakhmut and running up towards Soledar as well in this area. What I wanted to do very quickly was go back approximately 20 days to the start of the month, where you, the viewer, can kind of see what has taken place over the last 20 days. And I'm going to go back to the July 31st, and then we'll kind of speed things up, and you can kind of see the very, very slow pace of the fighting that is taking place. I'm going to speed things up real quick, and again, we're looking at an area, again, running from Sloviansk to Seversk, down to Soledar, Bakhmut, and a bit south of there as well, as this is the area of some of the most intense fighting that is taking place. And you can kind of see what's happening, just slow, methodical drive by Russian forces. Not a lot of territory, but again, it seems right now the Russian strategy is continue to attack Ukrainian forces and destroy those Ukrainian forces in this area. If we go over and we look at what is happening down in the southwest, remember there was a lot of talk about a prospective Ukrainian counteroffensive taking place in this area, and what we eventually saw was some sort of strike mission taking place in the Crimea. We did not see a lot of territory exchanging hands, but we did see some very well publicized strikes by Ukrainian forces in the Crimea. And in here, we're going to go back to the 31st, and we'll kind of speed things up a little bit so you, the viewer, can see exactly what at least this map is reporting. And again, very, very little territory has changed hands on either side. So no major offensive accomplishments by Ukrainian forces, and no real accomplishments by Russian forces as well, other than reported strikes that continue by both sides. Obviously, the Ukrainians have hit targets in Crimea, and whether we are going to acknowledge that let's go over to the where you can see the satellite view if it converts. There we go. And this is the airbase in question. So we do know that a successful operation by the Ukrainians took place on this airbase, and we do know that multiple Russian aircraft were destroyed in that action. Some people still claim it was a sabotage operation, while I believe at this point it was some sort of missile strike that took place. And we've seen it in other places as well. Again, we don't have quite as much information, but it would appear right now that Russian air defense forces are on a very, very high state of alert and appear to be shooting at anything and everything that may be inbound towards Crimea. But again, that is pretty much it. Another interesting tidbit of information was the assassination of a very close associate to Vladimir Putin. The daughter of that associate was killed in a bomb blast taking place inside of Moscow. And the Russians, the Russian intelligence service, the FSB, is stating that that attack was orchestrated and executed by members of the Ukrainian intelligence service, who reportedly then fled to Estonia. And it's interesting to see how the media reports on said activity. I would just have to wonder, and I would have to ask, that if there had been let's say, a high-ranking Ukrainian official that was killed in a bomb blast in, let's say, Kiev, or maybe Warsaw, or some other large city, and it had killed the daughter of that official, how would the news media be talking about the Russian Federation? Would it be calling for declaring Russia a terrorist state? Again, you have to ask these kind of questions, because what is being shown by the media is a little bit different in terms of what may have happened if the shoe was on the other foot. I hope that makes sense, but that's kind of what we're seeing in this conflict. And especially in Western media, it is portrayed as a black and white conflict, meaning the Ukrainians are a race of angelic beings, and the Russians are the spawn from the ninth plane of hell. And as we know, with all wars and conflicts, that is simply not the case. There is a gray area that has to be looked at and understood, and unfortunately, within the confines of this conflict, it is being called a black and white conflict. And again, if you look at history, you look at the situation more closely and try to understand the Russian perspective, not only the Ukrainian perspective, because obviously they do have they do have that right to obviously fight against the Russians and be a complainant in what is happening. Obviously, that cannot be underscored. But at the same time, the root cause of the conflict and how we got here has to be looked at very, very closely. And I think the Western media has taken some of Vladimir Putin's speeches when he talks about history, and I'm not sure they have interpreted everything that he's saying correctly, because obviously he's speaking in Russian. He is not speaking in English, so it's very, very difficult to articulate what he is saying. But if you look at very closely what he is saying, he's trying to explain himself. He is trying to answer the why behind what is going on. And you really tend to get, again, this one-sided perspective centered around the denazification of Crimea. I'm sorry, of Ukraine. But again, it gets a bit more deeper than that, and you have to go back quite literally in some instances many decades into the past to try to get your head around what is occurring. And then also you have certain aspects of a civil war as well taking place. I understand that is being denied by the Ukrainian side, and they are doing a very good job at cleaning that up and polishing that up, where it doesn't look like that is what is occurring. But unfortunately, within certain aspects of this conflict, that is exactly what is occurring. It's very, very much reminiscent of a civil war. So it is not a black and white issue. It's very much a gray issue. And again, I am not saying, and I know this, that absolutely the individuals on the Ukrainian side of this will perceive this as being very much pro-Russian, but that is not the case. You just simply have to to deep dive into what is happening, what is being done, and understand what is happening within the context of this conflict to try to better understand what is happening. And that's not being done, at least in Western circles and Western media circles right now. But that is pretty much it for today. We will certainly have more very, very soon. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.